Okay. So I was trying to find a place to walk along where there's not people, but then I was like, I guess it just doesn't matter. Okay, so this is the Fund Renewable Energy podcast. I guess I made this, I don't know, maybe a few months ago now with AI, but then this morning I realized, I was like, oh my god, I'm a human. Oh my god. I'm a human and not like an LLM chatbot. I could actually make a podcast myself, and I actually have, I'm not a scientist, but I do have some insight on renewable energy and sustainability. I've worked in the industry. I've sold solar systems to residents, and I've advocated for renewable energy at my the Illinois state capitol. I've just done all this stuff, and now I guess I should just make a podcast, because that's just a lot easier. I can just talk. So Fund Renewable Energy, I've made a lot of music with this project. The project initially was not gonna be just myself, because I don't think, oh my god. This says, I am LMM, which to me says, I am multi-level marketing. I don't know, I don't think that's what it means. But to me, it means something. That's what it means. Okay. So, I've released several albums. Several is actually underdoing it. I don't know how many, but I think over 20 albums this year, using artificial intelligence, but also using my own, brain and creativity. And the idea for Fund Renewable Energy is essentially just like a project or a system or a movement or whatever that essentially creates the framework for essentially renewable energy mutual aid, where anyone can just fund a renewable energy project, and anyone that wants to get renewable energy on their home or whatever, they could just tap into the system and get the money that is there to build the renewable energy. This makes a lot more sense in writing, because it is a little bit of a novel. Okay, I'm sorry. There's a bunch of milkweed here, and I love milkweed. Oh my god. But I have to focus. Oh my god. Pollinators are so great. I love native plants. Oh. Okay, where am I going? Oh my god. Okay. So yeah, there's already an episode of the Fund Renewable Energy podcast. But I did have the computer write it, and I did have the computer voice it. But then again, of course, I just realized, I could just do that. So back to that. Fund Renewable Energy. There's so solar is actually not that expensive when it comes to residential solar. And residential solar is a great, there's great potential for rooftop solar to essentially create a lot of renewable energy in the market, to take a lot of fossil fuel energy creation off of the market. Because when you have your own solar panels on your home, you're creating your own energy, and you're not tapping into the grid, which right now is fueled by fossil fuels, which is bad. We gotta stop doing that. Obviously, we already know that. Okay, so if you're watching this, then I don't have to convince you of that. Probably. We probably already know that climate change is happening. So look at these geese. Wow. Oh, there's more over there. Oh my god, wow. There's everything. So it's very warm right now. It's almost, it's not hot, but for the season, it's actually very hot out right now. And this morning it was in the 40s, but now I'm like sweating in this jacket, and this is like a 40s jacket. So I'm just like, what's happening? And then I'm like, oh yeah, well the planet's warming, that's what's happening. Duh. So again, what is fund renewable energy? Okay, so what is like, I'll think of an analogy of like something that's already happened in life or whatever, but it's essentially like, what if there was a bank account that just like was accepting money, and just money was going into it, and it was only used, the money that was being withdrawn was only used to fund renewable energy projects, more specifically rooftop solar projects, because those are easily funded, the technology is available, and it just takes individuals with homes or businesses who want solar on their roof. So essentially we could fund this in the grand, aggregate of humanity, like a Kickstarter. And it's just possible. Obviously, like, we probably couldn't get all of the renewable energy that needs to happen, but we're at a point now where it's like any renewable energy that happens, that is created, is a good thing, because we're just like really so at the end of the world, that sounds so dramatic, but we really are very much. If you're a scientist, you're like, yeah, If you're just like someone else who isn't really tapped in, you're like, what are you saying? Like, end of the world? Are you crazy? And it's like, no, like, we truly are, like, the planet is collapsing. The planetary systems are failing, and it's all terrifying. But it doesn't have to be. We shouldn't give up. Okay. So fund renewable energy. What I've got right now is music. Music, it's easy to make. You can just make music and release it. And now that we have like digital streaming services and like all that kind of stuff, you can make money off of this stuff. And then essentially, like, because it is music that exists on a streaming service, it could just infinitely generate money. And that money could just be siloed into this bank account, and that money can be disseminated to people who want solar on their roof. It's just possible. And then the other thing about that is like events. Oh my God, events. What even is an event? This right now is an event. Like, just like sitting down, I guess like you need more than one person, but with your thoughts, that's two people right there. But events are not carbon intensive. You don't have to drill for oil to make an event, and you can truly fundraise with events. You just do that. So in combination, there's just like so many ways to essentially crowdfund money that could be given just for free to people who want to put rooftop solar on their homes. I don't know how else I can describe it. It just seems so clear and obvious. So that reminds me of so I had a conversation with ChatGPT like last winter, where I was like, okay, so how much money would it take to essentially create enough renewable energy that would bring us to a point where like humanity wouldn't be at the precipice of complete failure and collapse? No, we don't want that. We don't want that to happen. We don't want the collapse. So the supercomputer, it gave me a number. It was a big number, but then I was like, okay, like that's a big number, but now let's talk about how much money there exists in the world. And then I asked it to essentially describe how much money is held within like individuals, like accounts or whatever, how much money is held by governments, sovereign wealth funds, or like institutions and all that kind of stuff. And the amount of money that just individuals have on the planet, it's enough money to cover all of the energy needs that we need to stop catastrophic climate change. That's pretty big. Obviously, not everyone on the planet is going to give over all of their money to stop climate change from destroying the habitable Earth. But it is an interesting thing to think about, because that just means like there's money out there. If we just create a system where people who care about and are able to people who care and are able to, if we create a system, it can be facilitated for that money to end up in a productive way where it creates renewable energy. This is all so top of dome right now because I literally just like woke up this morning and I was like, wait, I should just like, instead of like using an AI, I should just do it, because like who cares? It's just like, it's so much easier to do it with an AI, because I literally it took like, I guess it is actually easier to do it with myself, but okay, I need to part two this. Okay. I need to part two it because like there was this one time where I did like an hour-long vlog. I literally talked for an hour just to the camera because I forgot what I was talking about. But when I clicked like pause or stop, it just wasn't there because it was just that long of a video and that much like whatever gigabytes that it just didn't save. And I was like, but what are you gonna do? Learn. And the learning was break up your vlogs into increments. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. So Earth. No, all right. So, oh my God. Where even are we? Yeah, so this is so off dome right now. It's definitely disorganized thinking in terms of like, I'm not giving necessarily the clearest thesis. But the thesis, if I was to think of a clear thesis, it is the climate is collapsing and we have the collective capacity to mitigate damage. This is a very powerful sentence. And actually, it's really funny that I just like thought of that because that is the title of a book that I self-published like not 10 years ago, but not 10 years ago. Ugh. I definitely started on it 10 years ago. Oh my God. It's just possible. Like if we try, and I know like that sounds like annoying. If we try, like I just don't think that we're getting creative in our thinking in terms of how we can fund renewable energy, because the governments, no offense to the governments, but they're kind of failing us in terms of like the speed of things that are getting done. The corporations, they're not going to change, because kind of what I'm proposing right here is essentially like community owned, like just like what if people owned the means of energy production, like, and not even that, like what if it was just created and no one owned it and there was just like electricity available to people. That'd be cool. But that's like a really high-minded ideal. So let's just like bring it back down to earth. What if, okay, so a rooftop solar installation, it can cost like $5,000. Like that's not gonna cover an entire home's energy usage. Actually, it may, depending on the home's energy usage. If it's like a McMansion, it's not going to cover it. But if it's like a 2 to 3 bedroom ranch home, it may cover it. So $5,000 is like not that much money when it comes down to like events and music. Like think about Drake. No shots to Drake. But if Drake just kind of like donated all of his streaming revenue from like Spotify and like all of the DSPs, if you just donated all that money for like a year, I don't know, is that like $100 million? Just like that would just be able to be given out to people who want to install renewable energy. Okay, so let's think about this. Like, is it Warren Buffett's pledge or whatever, where he pledges to give away all of his money when he dies, what if we did that with like artists, and like they just were like, okay, for this year I'm gonna donate my money to renewable energy. It's like, I mean, that sucks because artists are actually underpaid, but I'm just saying, like, that'd be interesting if Drake did that. No offense, I'm just saying, no offense to Drake. No offense to Drake. No offense to Drake. No offense to Drake. But he's got that, his mansion in the 6 or whatever. I'm sure there's a lot of, I'm sure it's very carbon intensive to maintain that lifestyle or whatever. No offense. I don't care. Okay. What I do care about is trying and essentially like creating alternative ways to get there, because we can probably take it for a given that Drake is not going to give his money to, to give his money to fund renewable energy projects. It's a given that like Shell and these fossil fuel companies, they're not going to just, start giving people renewable energy for free, because they have a profit incentive, and we do unfortunately live under capitalism. But the governments, they're all paid off by the lobbyists for these fossil fuel companies. So what else do we got? Okay, well, we have people, and individuals do have money, until they outlaw that. And because individuals do have this like purchasing power and this capital, like that's a large reserve of capital to tap into. And for a project and a crisis like the complete collapse of the planetary system, it may be worth it. It may be worth it to kind of like band together and just try to avert the worst of climate change. And it's so upon us to try, because the people who have the ability to try are not necessarily the people who will be impacted by climate change sooner rather than later. So like people who are like in countries that are still developing, and like I'm just thinking of like, okay, what is it? Yeah, like Bangladesh, like they are gonna be like underwater. Bangladesh is not necessarily like what you would think of as like I love Bangladesh, but like it's not necessarily what you would think of in terms of like the world's economic superpowers or whatever. Even though you could actually make an argument that Bangladesh is. But I'm just saying is people with the most agency, like the United States, other democratic countries, we have more ability to make a more abrupt change and band together collectively and actually have some real impact because of the purchasing power than countries who are necessarily like who may feel the more immediate impacts of climate change. This is really important because these impacts of climate change, it's essentially it's like the more we put off solving climate change, the more people are gonna be like hurt by the impacts of climate change. And that's extremely unfair, and it's devastating when you think about it, because these are people whose lives are being upended for Drake's private jet. No offense to Drake, I'm just using it as an example. Or Taylor Swift's private jet. Oh no, I'm kidding. Or, I don't know, Mark Cuban's private jet. I don't care. Elon Musk's private jet. All these people. So it's like, the people, like, if we could just try. I think it's possible And here's the thing. There's a thing called a positive feedback loop where small changes and small like impacts and small events can grow through reverberation, where it's like, oh wow, like one small change leads to a slightly like bigger change, to a slightly bigger change, to a slightly bigger change, where it's like, obviously, like, this is very disorganized, but I think I'm also saying something kind of clear, where it's that obviously, like, an art project that is meant to fundraise for renewable energy projects is not going to solve all of the planet's like energy needs, but it's just forward momentum towards that cause. And the more small steps that you take towards like an end game, like the closer you get to getting there. So it all does add up, and it's kind of like a proof of concept for like, oh wow, like, oh, did we create like 1 gigawatt of like renewable energy like collectively? Wow, that's actually really powerful and cool. Like, how about we like do that a little bit more? And oh, what if like instead of like individuals doing it, what if like communities and like local government starts to do it? Like, it's just something that could really happen. And kind of like the cascading effect of life, it could happen pretty quickly. Who knows? Like, I don't know. What do they say? You don't know what you could get done in, like, you overestimate what you can get done in a year, but you underestimate what you could get done in 10 years or something like that. Oh, very cool. Okay. So I don't know, like, I think this was worthwhile. I think this vlog is worth it. I'll try to maybe be more organized next time, or maybe not, I don't know. Ugh. So I got a part 3 this. I could probably go on for a bit. Part 3. Okay, part 3. Ugh. I don't even know. Okay, so fund renewable energy. This is a project, it's an idea, it's a concept, it's nothing. But I think I'm going to continue on doing this because it really is, like, we really are just like, okay, so it was really terrifying last year. Chicago is like kind of famously known as like a very harsh winter. I've been very attuned to like the winters of the last like 15 years / my entire life. I'm just like very like weather kind of aware. I'm very aware of the weather. It's been like progressively getting warmer and warmer and warmer every single year, to the point now where we're not getting any snow accumulation in the past like maybe like 3 to 5 years. And that's like shocking. Like, people literally don't even want to like admit it or like talk about it. It's so weird. Like, last winter I really was like talking to people on the street about it. I was like really talking to people about it, and people are like, oh no, it's warm because that's just what happens. And it's like, no, it's been warm. It's been like 60 degrees in December for like 2 weeks now, and it's like pouring rain right now. That's shocking. That's very abnormal. And this has been happening for like definitely like 10 years now, where it's like accumulation is very, very, very mild, if nothing now. And it's like, we got to do something. We just got to do something. It's so obvious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep on making music. I think I'm going to start like, I really want to, okay, so I did throw this party once in 2000, and I don't even remember, 2019 was it? Yes. Was it? I don't know. So I threw a bunch of events in like definitely 2019, maybe 2020. No, not 2020, because that was when the world ended. 2019 was a really dense year. Okay. So I remember throwing like these parties that were like about either environmental awareness or like kind of like the seed of this idea, where it's like fundraising is possible, and it's like really a money problem. Like, climate change is a money problem at this point, because literally we have the technology, we know the solutions, it's just about funding it. It's crazy. Like, why aren't we like, also, I love birds, oh my god. Ugh. It's just, why aren't we doing this? So why aren't we doing this? So the party that I threw was the climate is collapsing. No, it was we're worried about climate change, so we're throwing a party. That was kind of a fun party. Although, like, I think I went too conceptual with it, where I, like, invited, whatever. So, I think literally it could just be, like a dance party. Like, it could literally just be, like, a social event that is, like, no concept at all. It's just literally, like, oh, okay, well, like, we're all here. We're fundraising. This money's going somewhere. It doesn't have to be that deep. I remember I kept on, like, overanalyzing, like, what should it be? Like, what should it be? What should the event be? I did, like, climate pop-up. Like, that was, like, interesting, I guess. And then, like, I don't know, what else did I do? Oh, solar and espresso coffee house, where that was, like, when I was, like, working as a solar salesman. And it's like, oh my God. Oh, wow. Oh, I just had a memory. Anyway, yeah, so what I basically did there was I invited people and marketed through, like, digital marketing channels. I'm going to be at this place. Come get essentially like an estimate for how much solar would cost on your home. Free coffee, free refreshments, like that kind of a thing. Not a bad idea. And people did come. So I think I'm going to double down on that now that I'm, like, thinking about it. And I've been thinking about it for, like, essentially since then. It's just, like, it's such a novel idea. It's also not a novel idea. Like, we've had fundraisers before. But it's just, like, could we really crowdfund a solution to climate change? Like, could we really do that? And I think we could. I think we can. Let's do it. I don't want to stop. Oh my God. I feel like I'm really talking it out. But yeah, that's what I got. I'm gonna stop because I'm so hungry right now. And I need more coffee. But let me think. Is there anything I did not get to? I mean, you know, we could all figure it out later. But stream my music. It's really good. It's the best music that's ever been made. That's not true. That's Charlie XCX. Charlie XCX is the best musical artist who's ever existed. I would say Fund Renewable Energy is further down on that list. You can submit music to be released through the platform, although I think I need to simplify instead of, like, making it more complex, and then add complexity later if I can maybe have a few other people working with me, because it's very difficult to do this all by myself, and I'm also working on, like, so many other things, and I have a job. Oh my God, it's like, ugh. So yeah, I'm just gonna make it simpler. And maybe, like, here, what's this? Anthropocene End Times Social Dance Party Community. That's the event. No, I'm kidding. I don't know, maybe. But, like, it literally does, like, I think we're so far along in climate change that people get it, even more so than in 2019. And I think it's just upon me to really simplify and clarify this, like, communication and message so that it's very easily understood. So let me try to do that right now. What am I doing? Well, I'm trying to create a system where people who are concerned about climate change can crowdfund solutions to climate change, independent of corporate interests, governments, and, you know, institutional investors and all that kind of stuff. So it's just, you know, it's possible. It's just possible. I'm sorry. And if it's not if it's not possible, can someone let me know? Because It is actually really funny just to think about. Ugh. I've been kind of on this trip for a very long time, and I think it's ready. I think it's ready. Ugh. 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 Okay. It's really hot out, considering it's almost November 1st. Oh my God. I don't know what I want. Like a breakfast sandwich? That could be like a thing. Like dinners, cooking for climate change, spices for sustainability. You know, I don't know. There's just so much that could be done. Ugh. And if it was literally just a bank account, I think, like, okay, so not to, like, I'm, you know, I don't know Jack Dorsey, but he did have this thing where he literally did have, like, essentially like an Excel spreadsheet where he put how much money was in a bank account and where it was going, and that spreadsheet was publicly available, and that was, like, how he managed, like, essentially, like, a philanthropic fund. So it's, like, it's, you know, there is a precedent for this happening before. Also, the geese. Am I wrong? Like, shouldn't they be going somewhere for the winter? Didn't they used to do that? I don't know. Geese, did you used to go somewhere for the winter? When would that have, when historically, when wouldn't that have been? Okay, they're unresponsive. All right. So it's possible, and it's very needed and dire. Just look at how hot that sun is. So, yeah, I think that's it. Was this a good podcast? I don't know. Okay, well, the geese said it was a good podcast. So the goose, if the goose says, then, you know, there you go. What's up? Okay, that's it. I'm gonna get breakfast sandwich. Love you. Bye.